Welcome to Monster Quads, and what I have today is a completed SRacer from SmackFPV. I really like this frame, and give you a little review on it. Just finish it. What I really like about this is its nice clean lines, and there's a spot for everything. You notice how everything's built together and put together. What I have put together is, of course, the SRacer frame. I'm using the Revo with Raceflight Beta 242. So I went ahead and went with the Revo for now because it's the most tested flight controller for Raceflight Beta. Went also with the recommendation of the Little Bees 30 amps. I don't know if I really like them because they're pretty huge if you look at them. Plus, I'll do another review of the Little Bee 30 amps because I did have a problem with the voltage regulator with one of the ESCs. I am running the ZMX 2206 2600s, the latest and greatest. And I do have a micro receiver in there with a TBS Crossfire micro receiver. What I like about the TBS Crossfire is that if you can see it, there's no antenna hanging out. I mean, a friend of mine actually had the TBS Crossfire micro receiver antenna wrapped around one of the ESCs, and what do you call this? And still had no drop-in signal or drop-in RSSI. So I think it's a fantastic. Plus, again, it's the antenna is all hidden, and makes for a cleaner look and a sleeker look. What people are most concerned about with this frame is, and it's not so bad, is these little tabs up front and the 3mm bottom. I'll talk about that in a little bit. What I really liked about it is, maybe it's gimmicky, but it does work, is you buy the launch pad that has, right here, it has a V cut into the launch pad, so it slips in there like a little notch. So what happens is when you're in air mode and it's ready, set, you push forward on the pitch and it starts to hover, but really locked in there temporarily. And when you say go and you give it throttle, you're already in forward flight and forward movement. So one of the pros for this frame is that launch pad. Again, I was talking about how clean the build is. That's a pro. There's a spot for everything. There's a spot for the XT connector, for your VTX. I'm not quite sure. I don't usually use this, but they have spots for your tie straps, little notches there. Some people think that's a drawback for this frame, but it really isn't. I had a friend that has an SRacer and flew it 200 feet in the air, went into a death roll, smacked it straight into the ground, broke an arm, but you would think it would be at this spot right there, or maybe this tab would pop off, but it just broke like any other quad doing a death roll into the ground from 200 feet. So that's the some of the pros. What I didn't like about it, or might not like about it, I'm not so sure. 3mm frame, but that's meant to be a racing frame. I'm not so sure about the VTX mount. It just sits there in the rear. See how, because it's at the bottom, it's at the lowest point, so you're going to be dragging your antenna around. Make sure you have it protected or angled up much better than I do. And the rear XT60, I've never really been a fan of these type of mounts. They say that you can tighten up on that as it loosens up, so that it sandwiches that XT60 a little bit stronger as it loosens up in time. I don't know. Nobody's ever really complained about that, about this in particular, but it still is a new frame. So testing wise, my most favorite part of this is the FPV camera and FPV camera mount. If you look carefully, you can see that there's a special mount that and a pivot, and that pivot is with a Allen head screw, and a lock nut. So that is not moving. You replace the back mount for an 1177 type FPV cam with this carbon fiber back that screws directly in. So it's in there solid, you know, and you tighten up on that so that it doesn't move at all. And you know, the way they have it made is you can go up past 90 degrees if you're one of those pros. And that's it for now. We'll have a flight video later with a flight test and maybe even some hover tests.